Today, we will be discussing a 2019 comedy drama called Yes God Yes. It is the fall of 2000. Alice is a sexually inexperienced but curious junior at a strict Midwestern co-ed Catholic high school, where Father Murphy instructs her morality class that any sexual activity that is not meant for reproduction and procreation within a male-female marriage is a sin, with eternal damnation as punishment. She struggles with accepting her growing feelings of sexual desire, seen in a scene of her masturbating to racy pictures sent to her in an online chat room with an anonymous person. She feels ashamed after recalling what both Father Murphy and her best friend Laura said about that with their judgmental attitudes. The following Monday, the school is buzzing with a rumor that Alice tossed the salad, a slang term referring to having sexual relations with a classmate named Wade at Laura's party over the weekend. Alice denies this, admitting to not knowing what the phrase means. The rumor reaches Mrs. Veda, who prevents Alice from serving at Mass as she is no longer a good role model. Later that day, during the Sacrament of Reconciliation, Alice confesses her sins to Father Murphy and was instructed to do penance with 20 prayers, which she immediately carries out in the school chapel, while being consumed with Father Murphy and Mrs. Veda's judgments about sex echoing in her mind. Alice and Laura both decide to attend the school's next spiritual retreat. Alice wants to return to the path of righteousness, and Laura to be accepted by Nina, who is a popular senior. When they arrive at the retreat, Laura is excited to find that Nina is a retreat leader while Alice takes a fancy to Chris, a good-looking senior who is also a retreat leader. Chris is friendly and enthusiastic, and after Alice is assigned to his group, the two begin to bond. That night, while playing on her cell phone which she snuck into the camp, Alice accidentally discovers that she can pleasure herself using her phone's vibrating feature. However, she stops soon after noticing the crucifix hanging in her room. On the second day of the retreat, Alice fakes an injury on a hike to get closer to Chris. Nina confiscates Alice's phone, and as a punishment, Father Murphy assigns Alice to cleaning duties around the retreat house. Once she is alone, she logs onto an AOL chat room from Father Murphy's office computer to ask what tossing salad means. But before she can find out, the sound of footsteps causes her to hastily shut off the computer and leave. She runs into Nina, who casually guilt-trips Alice about her rumored sexual encounter with Wade, another example of Alice's not being able to escape the gossip even while on Jesus' time. On the third day of the retreat, Father Murphy announces his discovery of an explicit chat on his computer. Of course, no one claims responsibility. He later pushes Alice to confess to acting on her sexual temptations with Wade and doesn't believe her when she said that nothing happened. Alice confronts Wade about his participation in the spreading of the rumor by failing to deny it, and he leaves without admitting his fault or apologizing. The next day, while on cleaning duty, Alice witnesses Nina kissing and performing a blowjob on another senior leader in the woods. She becomes aroused and starts to hump the mop that she was using to clean the kitchen. Alice shares this with Laura, who refuses to believe her and accuses her of breaking into Father Murphy's office. She ends their friendship, calling Alice a pervy psycho. Alice returns to Father Murphy's office and frames Wade for the earlier break-in. When Father Murphy enters the room, she quickly hides to make her escape. To her shock, she catches him masturbating to a pornographic video saved on his computer. She goes outside and finds herself alone with Chris, and in a spur of a moment Alice kisses him, but he becomes overwhelmed and runs away. That night, Alice flees the campgrounds and stumbles upon a lesbian bar where she and the owner Gina bond over how the fear of damnation can affect a teenager going through puberty. Gina counsels Alice and gives her a ride back to the retreat, and encouraging Alice to look into colleges on the West and East Coasts, and finally satisfying her curiosity about what tossing salad means. On the last day of the retreat, Alice befriends a socially awkward classmate while Father Murphy pulls Wade aside about the break-in he was framed for. With Wade on the hook for the explicit chat incident, Laura makes peace with Alice. At a whole group sharing session, Alice reminds the retreat attendees that everyone is hiding stuff and implores them to treat each other with honesty and respect, as Jesus wanted. Back at school, Alice reassures a still uncomfortable Chris that they can just be friends. Returning to confession with Father Murphy, Alice boldly reveals that while on the retreat she witnessed someone watching a video of people having sex, including details that makes it obvious that she caught Father Murphy watching porn. He is aware now that she knows his dirty little secret, and he assigns her a heavier penance of 100 prayers. Instead of remaining in the chapel, Alice goes home to rewatch and masturbates to the sex scene in Titanic. We hope you enjoyed this recap. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more.